What is a white cane and why is it so important? A white cane makes it so that someone who's blind or visually impaired can be independent and do things on their own. When someone uses a cane, it makes it so that they can use their sense of touch and feeling to navigate more so than their eyes. In this video, I'm going to be sharing tips with you on how you can have good etiquette when it comes to seeing someone with a white cane and helping you better understand. So when you do see someone, it's not weird and you can just interact normally with that person and see them as a person instead of, oh, what are they doing? I'm so confused. First things first, let's go over the options that someone who's visually impaired or blind has when helping aid them with getting around. First, you can use a companion or a guide to help you get around. So someone else is essentially your eyes and you're trusting that they will help you get where you need to and avoid any barriers along the way. Two, you can have a white cane. This makes it so that you can more independently get around on your own and get information based off of the cane that you're using. So for example, you can feel where the curb is, you can feel where there's barriers and where there's cracks that you need to step over. The next option is to have a guide dog. A guide dog is similar to having a person who helps guide you. However, you have a dog that's always with you who's been highly trained to be your partner and to help warn you and navigate you around. Another option is also to have a guide dog and to have a cane. Some people will use their guide dog and their cane at the same time. It just gives them multiple outlets of information at the same time. Some people will choose to use a guide dog sometimes and other times use a cane. It really just depends on the situation and what works best for that person. For example, if you have a guide dog, you might not be able to bring it when you go on an international trip. And maybe there's some places where you just wouldn't feel comfortable with bringing your guide dog, and so you would want to bring your cane instead. Rest assured, people who use a white cane are in fact trained extensively on how to use a white cane. It's not like they're just given a cane and then they have to figure it out on their own. We have classes called orientation and mobility where you are trained to use a cane, and that way they're trained on how to be safe and how to navigate with barriers and other people who are around them. All right, here's some tips for you when you encounter someone with a white cane. First off, and probably most significant, is don't grab someone's cane and don't grab a person who has a white cane assuming that they need help. When you are touching someone's cane, you are touching an extension to them. And it could be quite startling if someone just grabbed your purse, right? This is similar where they have their cane and if someone just randomly grabbed it, that would be quite scary. You wouldn't know exactly what was going on. Most of the time when people are grabbing someone's cane or even grabbing someone who has a cane in their hand, they have good intentions and they're just trying to help and they're like, oh, look, they're blind. Maybe I can help them to get where they need to go. But in fact, like I said, they have been trained. They know what they're doing, and sometimes, yes, they might need help. Maybe it would be helpful for you to describe the environment around them. Just because someone has a white cane does not mean they're stupid. It doesn't mean they can't do it on their own, and you should just ask them like you would anyone else. Hey, do you need help with that? And then if they say no, then don't persist and just move on. Know that they are confident in what they're doing and they will say yes if they actually indeed need help. It's quite shocking how often I hear from people that they'll just get pulled on their arm or the cane so that someone can help them, and it's so disorienting to them because they can't see exactly what's going on and it doesn't feel safe and it doesn't feel good, and they totally know what they're doing in that moment. All right, let's talk about a scenario here. So you're walking down the street, you see someone with a white cane in their hand and they're standing at a stoplight. They're waiting to be able to cross the crosswalk and you're like, they're not walking. It seems like they didn't realize that the light turned green. Now you can tell them, hey, just so you know, the light turned green, but I wouldn't do that unless it was like at the beginning of the light changing green, because there might be a reason why they're waiting. It typically might take someone with a cane longer to get across that crosswalk than someone who's walking at an average pace who can see where they're walking. And so maybe they got there late enough that they aren't 100% sure that they'll be able to safely get across the street before the light turns red again. And so their preference is to wait until another cycle of when the light turns green again. So don't be afraid to give them information you think might be helpful to them, but also know that if they're ignoring your advice or what you've said, it's not because they don't believe you or whatever. It's just they have a certain way that they're doing things to make sure that they're safe. And they do appreciate you making them aware of things, especially if it's something like construction where they're not going to be able to know because it's their normal route and there's cones or whatever showing that there's a big hole. But once again, not all people with a cane need help. Something important to note is not everyone with a cane has zero vision. Some people with a cane have some vision. Some people can see shadows, some people can see light, and some people can see color. And some people can perceive things, just can't see it clearly. So assuming that someone can't see it all and just be like, I gotta help them, we need to stop doing that and just treat them like anyone else that you would be offering help to. So when you encounter someone with a white cane, whether that's on the street or if you're at an event or a party or whatever, feel free to talk to them and introduce yourself so that they are aware of you being there. It's hard to interact with people and to get the feeling of what's going on when you can't see it. And so by you going up and introducing yourself, that kind of is an icebreaker for them. It helps make them feel more welcomed and like someone noticed them and is paying attention to them. It could be as simple as saying, hello, my name is Angela. What's your name? And then you can totally have a normal conversation with them, or you can just move on. But that way they're more aware of what's going on and they're feeling more included. If you see someone with a white cane and they have someone who's with them, don't talk to the person that's with them instead of talking to them directly. This is one of the most demeaning things that someone can do to someone with a disability. So for example, say I have someone here with me and I have a cane and they're like, oh, hey, Sarah, so does your friend want a drink? And she's like, why are you asking me? Just ask her directly. Like, I'm a human and I can talk to you just as easily as Sarah can, and you don't need to be talking to someone for me. Just because I can't see what's going on, I can hear it and I can sense it. I don't need someone to be talking for me. I'm not mute, I'm blind. If you're the one hosting an event, say it's for church or the community or just for your friends, there are a couple of things you can do to help anyone who has a cane. So just make sure there isn't any obvious big barriers, anything that blocks the walkways that they typically would walk in, and that there's not a lot of stuff all over the floor, including cords. That would be considered a safety hazard because if they don't see it and they don't hit it with their cane, then they could possibly trip and fall. Also, typically, if someone like sits down for something, say you go to a restaurant, they have their white cane, they will typically fold it up and put it away while they're sitting at the table. Now, this can be tricky because if someone were to set like their cane somewhere and they remember exactly where they put it, the second they want it to move around, they're gonna go to that exact same spot and feel for it. And if it's missing, that's going to be really scary to them because that is their way of being able to be independent and get around. So please don't touch someone's cane unless you ask for permission first and they grant you permission. And if you do this, make sure you are explicit about where you're putting their cane. So if it's like in the way or something and you're like, can we please move this over a little bit? Is that okay? That would be totally fine. But don't just do it without telling them because then they're going to have no idea where their cane is. And I think you can imagine how terrifying that would be. For all they know, it could be 2 inches farther away, or it could be on the complete other side of the room, or someone stole it. I mean, there's just no way for them to know unless someone tells them. There's no reason for you to feel awkward or uncomfortable around someone who is using a white cane. This is in fact actually helpful because it helps give you information. You know, okay, this person needs help navigating. I can see, okay, do they need help? No. Okay, they know what they're doing. Let's move on. They have a white cane. They're not saying anything. Maybe they don't know I'm here. So maybe I should make myself known. Or you're walking down the street and someone with a white cane approaches. And if you can, it would be very nice and courteous of you to move over a little bit just so that you're not getting in the way and becoming one of the barriers. It's the small things like that that white cane users really appreciate when it comes to the people around them. We really appreciate when you respect our space and our independence of trying to get around. If you want to see a video of me walking around my neighborhood on the sidewalks to see if it was accessible for me, go ahead and watch this video here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!